Hello, I'm John Betts, and I have the delight to bring to you this evening things to do with the numbers and the accounts of the church. This should have been done by Lynn Inman, who's our treasurer, who is unfortunately isolating at the moment, so you've got me instead. First of all, before I get into any numbers, I want to say a big thank you, especially to all the people who've been regularly giving to church, which you'll see when we look into this is the backbone and support for everything that we do. But we've also got thanks given to things like the Arts and Crafts group and other groups who support us, and for our building project to many donors and trusts. If we then turn to actually have a look at the accounts, this first picture shows the core of it, the balance sheet. And I've done a little circle at the bottom, which you can see the amounts of money that we accrued during the year, which actually is quite a large amount. This thing's called a statement of activities, and that's all been signed off and actually is with the Charity Commission. Those big balances then actually rather confuse us if we want to understand what's been happening in the day-to-day work of the church. And you can see that if you look at this next picture, which shows the income and outgoings for the year completely broken down. Now, I'll talk you through a little bit of the colours. If you look at the income side, you can see it's a big circle because it's a large amount of money. And by far the biggest amount is the amount that we received for the building project. The next biggest item is our regular giving in blue. In the outgoings, you can see it's a much smaller number, and in fact, we didn't actually spend that much on the building project. So if we want to understand what's going on, the best thing to do is to take the building project out and put it on one side for the moment. That leaves us with this picture, which shows what I call business as usual, 2019, no building project. Now you can see there that the income and outgoings are similar kind of numbers, but the really good thing for us for the year is that even looking at it this way, our income was more than our outgoings. Again, you can see on the left-hand side the income dominated by our regular giving, and also a significant amount shown in red from the grant that we received, which is all to do with St Paul's being a resource church and the support that we're getting. Looking at the outgoings, it isn't much of a surprise to see that the dark blue bit, our parish share, and the red bit, which is salaries, are the biggest parts of our outgoings. But overall, even though we're talking about six figures on either side, the important message is the good one, that in fact our income has exceeded our outgoings. Now you'll be thinking that's all very well, but what actually happened to the building project? There was this huge sum of money sitting there, and where did it go? So let's have a look at that on its own. So if we look at this next picture, this shows building finance and has got two columns. The one on the right-hand side is what we spent, and the one on the left-hand side tells you where the money came from. So if you run down the things that we spent the money on, it starts off with lift, which actually means a stair lift, which we replaced. But you can run down the various things, and you can see there's a significant amount there for electrical work, heating work, which hopefully we're all enjoying, and building work, which opened up the space. But it came to just under £450,000, which is a large amount of money for anybody. On the other hand, you can see on the left-hand side where that money came from. There's a really significant amount of money that's come from the Strategic Development Fund, which is again us being a resource church. That's the green bit. There's a purple part which actually is given from donations to us from you as a congregation and from other people. And then there's a really significant blue part, which was a grant we received from the Leeds Church Extension Society, which is a charity which has a special link to our church, They gave us £75,000, which was really great. Overall, you can see that the building project financed itself. We raised all that money to do all that work, which is a really excellent outcome. The bit now that you'll be wondering, I hope, is, well, how are we doing now? The building project was finished off in the first quarter of this year, and this year has been, not to put too fine a point on it, a rather strange one to be trying to deal with financially. I think the easiest way to look at this is to see the progression of what's been happening to our ordinary income and expenditure over the last 3 years. And I put that on another slide here, which shows some increasing bars going from left to right, which is 2018, 19 and 20, which is this year. The big conclusion I'd like you to draw from this is that on both of them, the left-hand column is bigger than the right. In other words, in each of these 3 years, our income has been more than we've been spending. If you look at it carefully, the income side, which is the left-hand side, the biggest part is the blue part, which is the regular giving from you and me. The next biggest is green, which is the grants that we're getting through being a resource church. And on the right-hand side, you can see the turquoisey blue is our parish share. The orange is the staff costs. And then there's other things to do with buildings and ministries on top of that. Those are the big items. So I think the high-level picture is extremely encouraging. This year is uncertain, but I think we have great reasons to be thankful. We can be thankful to God, we can be thankful to each other, and we can share that generosity, as is shown indeed in some of the detail you can look at, that we've been increasing the giving that we've been able to give to mission and be generous to others. So that's all I've got to say. The accounts themselves, if you want to look at them in detail, are on the Charity Commission site or in the original note for this meeting. If you've got any questions, please ask me or Lynn, and we'll answer you at any point, whether that's now or in the future. So thank you for listening.